Mental Health Monday. Is it seriously about to rain? It is. It fucking is. That's cool. I guess we'll do this some other time. Mental Health Monday. Today I'm going to speak about something from the past, and maybe you can see some analogs to present day things. We're going to go back in time, to the past. A simpler time. Considerably simpler time. I was in high school. For those of you who've been following my work for a long time, you'll know that I was bullied mercilessly in school for being overweight, for being Egyptian, being Muslim after 9/11, and for a really unfortunate surname. I had the whole package. Oh, and the glasses. Don't forget the glasses. Oh, and a comb over that my dad made me wear to school every day of my life. So I was mercilessly bullied through school, not just high school, but really it was pretty savage during high school. You know, you go through the correct channels. They tell you violence is never the solution. They tell you if something like that happens, go to a teacher, ignore them, you know, stuff like that. And I can guarantee none of those things worked. Kid me, much like adult me, live and let live. I don't like hurting people. I never wanted to hurt people, despite the fact that, you know, I was a giant back then, and I'm still a beast. I didn't want to use that. Plus, I didn't know how. You know, the school was very strict. Zero violence policy. Yeah, okay, like, non-aggression is fantastic. I don't think beating people up is great. But something would happen. I'll usually just put up with it. Something will happen. I'll just put up with it. Because I knew if I went to a teacher about it, it would get worse. I don't know how teachers managed it, but it's like, oh, you don't do that to wee little layman, and they're gonna come at you worse the next day. So I stopped going to teachers about it. I just ignored it. You know, it's like they want to take my bag, fuck it, they can take my bag. They want to push me into the fucking mud, they can push me into the fucking mud. The first act of retaliation on my part was just attempting to be indifferent, because if you cried about it, or you got sad about it, or they saw your pain, they would lean in worse. If you tried to ignore them, they would escalate to try and get a reaction out of you. The bullying didn't stop, even on the day that outside the head dean's window, I think I got the shit beaten out of me. I can't remember exactly what happened, but basically a group of dudes did something. They either pushed me or like got me down on the ground and like kicked me or something. The person of authority, I'm talking like senior administrative staff, so not gonna say names obviously. He came and he was like pissed off, and he was like defended me and said, hey, like, you shouldn't do this to this, what are you doing, blah blah blah. And they're like, oh, sorry sir, I'm just playing sir. He disciplined them in some way. He spoke to me about it and he's like, oh, maybe you should go see the counselor and blah blah blah. I'm like, bruh, I see the counselor every bloody week and he tells me the same thing. He's like, oh, how does that make you feel? And the counselor at my school was great, lovely guy. In video game terms, it was. And so it just carried on in like year 11, year 12. I found that ignoring them, for some, the real vindictive, twisted ones, they would escalate and push harder and do worse things. For others, they'd just be like, okay, well, this isn't easy anymore. It's not fun, so I guess we'll just, yeah, leave you. The next solution I found, mocking them. It's like, cool, you took my bag. Oh my god, I'm so proud of you, champ. This development of the poker face and adding to it ruthless, sharp tongue and just mockery. Being, you know, like gut punched and sort of being winded and just sort of looking up at them. Said,
I hit your mum harder than that last time.
Stuff that wasn't particularly clever, enough to just sort of show them I am unaffected and you're really just demonstrating how pathetic you are. My personal favorite, just responding with, is this how dull your life is? Is this how pathetically small you feel that you've gotta ruin someone else's day? And I just looked them dead in the eye when I asked that question. I didn't yell, I didn't shout. Because shouting and yelling and sort of raising your voice demonstrates a lack of control. And if you can really look somebody in the eye and ask them to question why they're doing something, they generally stop in their tracks, unless they're a complete psycho. So now we enter how to deal with complete psychos. I don't think in the history of ever, giving into a bully's demands has ever got them to leave you alone. I mean that from the deepest parts of myself. If I could have gone back in time and told the me that started year 9 with the stupid comb over, being fat and weird American accent and the way too big front teeth and that entire package, I wish I could go back to him and say, don't give them what they want. Don't let them push you around, because the more you let them push you around, don't react. Because the more you react and the more you comply, the more they're gonna see you as a victim, the more you'll feel like a victim, and the worse they'll treat you. It is addictive to them, in a sense, to have that level of control over somebody. And complying is the worst thing that you can do. And for the psychos, the ones that turning the other cheek didn't work for, the ones that you don't react to, the ones that you mock, the ones that you tell straight up and try to communicate with, it's like, why are you doing this? I'm not scared of you. And they still push it and they still try to hurt you. Unfortunately, standing your ground and getting someone to back off physically sometimes needs to happen. Notice that I didn't start with that. Oh, if someone's bullying you, hit him. No. That's actually what my dad used to friggin' try and get me to do. It's like, oh, these kids are doing this to you. Hit them back. It never sat right with me as a kid, and it still doesn't sit right with me as an adult. But I get it. It's like prison rules. You don't want people treating you like a bitch. And you certainly don't want to be seen being treated like a bitch, because in the twisted hierarchy that is a boys-only school, everybody wants to know where they sit on the ladder. I see this in the grown-up world too. I saw it in corporate. They just obviously won't hate you, but they'll find other ways of intimidating you, talking down to you, getting you to do things and just comply, because we can have a hierarchy in the world based on performance. We can have a hierarchy based on social standing. We have a hierarchy based on just rank in a job. But if there isn't a clear hierarchy, the hierarchy gets set with biology. And unfortunately, that biology can sometimes manifest as bullying. And that's not me defending bullies. That's just me saying that it's a natural part of development. It's an inevitability, and I totally, I don't begrudge many of the people that bullied me as a kid. There are a couple, those psychos, and a couple of real sadistic ones. And a fair whack of the ones that were really bad to me were the ones just on the... So if I'm here on the rung, they're the ones that were just here, I was the doormat because they'd get the shit kicked out of them, and they'd kick the shit out of me because they couldn't... It never goes up. On the subject of, being on the bottom rung and having the people just above you just like kicking down, I've learned something over the last 10 years. Strong people never, people that are strong within their hearts and strong within themselves, never feel the need to subjugate or humiliate other people. But weak people that hate themselves or hate something about themselves will find it in you and torture you for it because they're too scared and too weak to find it and deal with it in themselves. I mean, I'm sure I've had my moments of doing the same thing, and I like to think I don't anymore and haven't done it in a long time, but this is a serious topic. Bleh. What I have to thank for it is I'm pretty funny and quick-witted now, or at least I like to think so. It takes a lot to get a stir out of me. I've developed self-reliance. I won't escalate unless the other person escalates. And I'm not afraid to stand up for myself, and you shouldn't be afraid to stand up for yourself. And I can guarantee that nobody else will stand up for you. And if they do, they actually disempower you. And this is the other part of our conversation today. When someone gives you something, they actually disempower you. When someone does something for you, they disempower you. When you rely on your phone to solve a problem, or you rely on your phone to do just basic maths, you actually weaken yourself, because anybody that, say, brings you food every day, they have robbed you of your ability to learn how to gather food for yourself, the ability to defend yourself, the ability to know what 7 times 8 is without needing to put it into a calculator. And for every thing that supplements your life or does something for you, it actually makes you weaker, because without it, you are weak. And whatever is giving you that thing has more control over you, because by taking it away, you're helpless and you've grown reliant on it. What happens if something that you rely on for your safety, sustenance, and survival is also the thing that's bullying you, and you give in to it because it's more convenient, or it's safer, or it feels more reasonable, or they have authority? At what point is this person protecting you and doing it because they care? And at what point are they bullying you because they want to have control over you? And I'm pretty sure I've outlined what the solution to that is. You can never get a bully to stop bullying you if you just go along with what they want. See you next week.